So, ladies and gentlemen, this is the Canadian Defense Procurement Strategy. It was announced today, February 17th, 2026. So, a strong Canadian defense industry for a secure and prosperous Canada. We're looking at this here, and the Carney government has released this. The vision for the Canadian defense industry, Canada's defense industrial strategy. The government of Canada will be guided by a clear vision, a robust Canadian defense industry that provides technological and operational advantage to the Canadian Armed Forces and its security partners in their mission to defend Canada and the maximum growth, job creation, and economic benefits for all Canadians. Their goal, by taking the steps required to ensure that Canadian industry can supply the needed capabilities of our armed forces, we will not only advance our sovereignty, but also strengthen our economy. In the next 10 years, Canada's defense industrial strategy will include this, and this is what it states. Build world-leading Canadian firms in key sovereign capability areas. Raise maritime fleet serviceability to 75%. Land fleets to 80%, aerospace fleets to 85% to meet training and operational readiness requirements. Increase the share of defense acquisitions awarded to Canadian firms to 70%. This may or may not be a pipe dream. Like some of they're aiming high, they're aiming for the moon. But again, this is something that is important. At least they're taking notice to it. Okay, they're accelerating procurement of successful Canadian defense and research and development innovations, boosting government investments in defense-related research and development by 85%. Increase total Canadian defense industry revenues by more than 240%. Grow defense in revenues for Canadian small and medium-sized businesses by more than $5.1 billion annually. Wow. I mean, see, it's good, but this is also, it's a lot, right? I don't know. Again, we'll see. Increase Canada's defense exports by 50% and create 125,000 quality new jobs across the Canadian economy. So this is great. I don't know. Again, this is a lot, okay? And that's some of the key factors of this. And this is coming from, of course, this is Honorable David McGuinty, Minister of National Defense, Honorable Melanie Joly, Minister of Industry, and Honorable Stephen Fuhr, the Secretary of State Defense Procurement. So Stephen Fuhr, FUHR, rather. So, yeah, it's awesome, but it's a lot. Being a key player in Canada's national defense, Canada has proven strengths in traditional areas of defense, such as aircraft engine parts and onward. The country has also advanced capabilities in maintenance, repair, overhaul, and overall services and supports. We are a world leader in training and simulation. Yes, sure. The country also produces world-class combat vehicles, munitions, and sophisticated naval vessels. Moreover, Canada's broader industrial base has strengths in areas increasingly important to defense, and that's including robotics and drones, and that's very true. Not only is the Canadian defense sector a major supplier of the armed forces, it's an export powerhouse. Yes, the biggest exporter is the United States. So if we alienate the United States too much, that is going, and that's the problem. They could cause a lot of problems and grief for us, because if they don't buy products from us, it's going to hurt our defense base. Not only is the Canadian defense sector a major supplier of the armed forces, they're an export powerhouse. Virtually half, 49%, of the defense-related products and services produced by Canadian firms are sold abroad. That's the United States, Denmark, Great Britain, right? NATO allies. Of these, the majority, 69%, go to the United States, and our other Five Eyes partners, which is so you have our Five Eyes Canada. So we have Great Britain, Australia, United States, and New Zealand, right? So the five, and then and of course Canada, U.S., Great Britain. So they're Five Eye countries. Goal customers recognize the capabilities that defense firms bring to the table, and they do. They're an important contributor to job growth. I mean, at the same time, the defense sector is an important contributor to the economy. In 2022, it's nearly 600 firms contributed to 81,000 jobs. Okay. These companies generated $14.3 billion in revenues that same year and contributed $9.6 billion to the GDP. What's more, the industry is a hotbed of innovation. The Canadian defense sector is one of the most research and development intensive. It's very true. As far as that goes, the defense sector in research and development, spending $440 million in 2022, the vast majority invested by the industry itself. It is more than 3 times as R&D intensive as Canadian manufacturers overall, and its shares employees and its share of employees in high-end STEM jobs, STEM jobs, is more than 2.5 times as great. At a time when the Canadian economy is facing challenges in the form of tariffs, rising protectionism, and other uncertainties, and not as competitive, certainly we must recognize and seize the potential for our defense sector to support growth. And that's including General Dynamics Land Systems with the LAV 6s and so forth, Rothschild Senators. So investing in Canada's defense, indeed, never has it been clear that the strong Canadian defense and strong defense industrial base is mutually enforcing. Beyond outright conflict such as that we have seen in Ukraine, the rise in new powers, increasing uncertainty, protectionism, and shifting dynamics, the international relations have also underlined the necessity of thinking differently about the intersection of Canadian sovereignty, defense needs, and economic development. Tariffs and challenging trade relationships have placed significant pressure on strategically critical industries such as steel and aluminum, which employ thousands of Canadians whose livelihoods are now at risk. At the same time, the renewed defense spending presents an opportunity to source critical inputs from these sectors as we rebuild the Canadian Armed Forces and fulfill commitment to 5% of the annual GDP, which is great if we can do it. We're supposed to be reaching 2% here very soon, if not already, of the defense spending. And they're trying to get to the annual GDP in Canada's defense and security by 2035, aligned with the NATO Defense Investment Pledge. And also being part of some of these new the NATO NDIP, these new defense investment pledges, right? So. Similarly, key industries such as the mining and processing of critical minerals offer substantial economic growth potential while directly strengthening national security. Finally, frontier challenges and technologies in which Canada plays a leading role, such as AI and quantum computing, are game-changing on the battlefield and can also drive economic growth and productivity. As shown in the graphics below, implementing this defense industrial strategy and related targets by 2035 will result in estimated what they say $180 billion total direct investment in defense procurement, $290 billion total in investment in defense-related infrastructure, and $125 billion in downstream economic activity. More than $500 billion of overall investment in Canada. That's great. if it can be done. I mean, we're looking at 9 years. 9 years from today. In sum, we cannot think about Canada's national defence and industrial base as separate silos. Because Canada has embarked on a historic reinvestment in the Canadian Armed Forces, we also have a historic opportunity to strengthen our national defence and our economy at the same time, in mutual reinforcing ways. All right, so take a look here, and this is what we are looking at as far as investment in to protect Canada's sovereignty and security. The downstream economic benefit, and then you have the total the defence investment in procurement is spread through in Canada by 2035. Total investment in defence-related infrastructure in Canada and in 290 billion, and then downstream economic benefits. So, if it works, it's a win-win. But there's a lot of promises here that are being promised, and it doesn't mean that we can. They're shooting for the moon to have 70% of defense equipment for the Canadian Armed Forces being built in Canada and everything, and with contracts, localized areas by, in 10 years. A lot of people that are in the know, certainly in the know, think that it is not realistic. I'm questioning it. I'm optimistic. I'm not saying it's not realistic. I'm saying that it's possible. I'm saying that a lot of work has to be done. How will we get there? The key pillars of Canada's defence industrial strategy. 1, renewing our relationship with industry. The Canadian defence companies must be partners in building and sustaining our armed forces. This means building a more strategic relationship with Canadian industry. 2, procuring strategically through a new build partner buy framework, which with these new tools, the government will prioritize domestic production where feasible and partner with trusted allies where necessary, dramatically speeding up defense acquisitions in the process. Well, okay, let's hope. Investing purposefully to strengthen an innovative Canadian defense sector. Beyond procurement, long-term defense resilience requires investment in innovation and workforce development. Going forward, we will support research and development, protect intellectual property, nurture small and mid-sized firms, invest in skills and training, and promote exports to create a defense sector that is agile and globally competitive. And 4, securing in supply chains for key inputs and goods. Defense depends on complex supply chains, from critical minerals to specialized components. Ensuring reliable access to these materials is essential for both operational readiness and national security. By strengthening domestic production, stockpiling resources, and coordinating with trusted allies, Canada can mitigate the risks of global disruptions and maintain consistent capability for the Canadian Armed Forces. Working with domestic partners, including Canada's North and Arctic defense, objectives cannot be achieved in isolation. Working closely with the provinces and territories, Indigenous communities, and other key stakeholders will ensure that defense infrastructure and industrial growth are inclusive, sustainable, and geographically balanced, which is a hard one for us, geographically. Canada's North and the Arctic will be a particular focus as new threats emerge, in part due to a changing climate. CSIS, a think tank, major world think tank that I know people that are part of. CSIS has come out with a report saying that it's not Russia that is the biggest threat in Canada's Arctic. It is actually China. And there's reasons for that, because Russia is very active in Ukraine. They're preoccupied in Ukraine. It's not that their navy can't come under our eyes, that their subs can. China is going to be increasingly a bigger threat, because they know where the minerals are. They know where some are. They know some of the trade routes through there. They know they have more to throw at us than the Russians do at the moment, let's say. But the Russians and the Chinese both have nuclear submarines. They're building more nuclear submarines, nuclear powered submarines, and then so forth. So the actions are there. Canada's North and Arctic will be a particular focus as new threats emerge due to the changing climate. And the Defense Investment Agency, DIA, is the center of this strategy. Created in October 2025, DIA is designed to accelerate the timeline of defense procurements. Yet, have they gotten any new defense procurements? No, not yet. They have just been dealing with the ones that are, have been coming in. As far as we know, as far as I know, they haven't gotten any new procurements listed for them with them yet, but we'll see. They're meant to leverage defense procurements to strengthen Canada's defense industrial base and attract investment into Canada's defense industry, contributing to growing Canada's economy. DIA will enhance collaboration in multilateral capability in development and participate in joint defense procurement programs, including those aligned with Canada's participation in Security Action of Europe, or SAFE, Readiness 2030, formerly Rearm Europe. So SAFE is another project that they're working on, which will also help benefit Ukraine. The DIA will improve interoperability and access for Canadian suppliers. It will capitalize on economics and scale and contribute to national diplomatic efforts. Simply put, the DIA will be responsible for re-equipping our military and driving economic benefit for Canada through the government's generational investment in the Canadian Armed Forces. Initially created as part of Public Services and Procurement Canada, the government's intention is to establish the DIA as a standalone entity through the introduction of legislation in spring 2026, which we'll see. A snapshot of the DIA's role is in the annex. So their goal is to really re-strengthening industry, really hone in and focus and limit bureaucracy by creating more bureaucracy a little bit. Okay, when it comes to this is all stuff that is good, but there's, again, bureaucracy by creating more bureaucracy sometimes just doesn't work. We'll see. Give it time. These are some of the key actions, right? In renewing its to renew relationship with Canada's defense industry, that the Defense Investment Agency will lead the establishment of Permanent Defense Advisory Forum, co-chaired by the Ministry of National Defense and Industry and Secretary of State Defense Procurement, to provide a regular scheduled venue to engage with the Canadian defense industry. Under the leadership of these ministers, industry will be given new opportunities for direct engagement, including on procurement, participation where feasible in war games and operational exercises, and industry, government, military staff exchanges. So there's a lot to read here, and I can share this. If you go to canada.ca/English Department of National Defense, corporate reports, publications, industry strategy, security, sovereignty, prosperity, you can go to that, and it's a PDF file of what they announced. So there's a lot of stuff in here. One, renewing our relationship with industry. Pillar 2, procuring strategically the Defense Investment Agency, and a new build, partner, buy framework, which is interesting. Canada cannot afford to outsource its national defense. We must build the domestic capabilities essential to preserving our sovereignty. I agree with that somewhat, but we can, why, if we need it right now, yes, we can afford for other countries to build them there and ship them here. But what they want to do is build on the domestic capabilities for preserving our sovereignty and develop new capabilities where gaps exist. At the same time, Canada cannot act entirely alone, and collaboration can strengthen security while delivering better value. Okay, so one example would be the KS3 project. We're going to get hopefully, it is they're way ahead of Hanwha, and the Korean deal the Korean situation is way further ahead than, it's way further ahead than, say, the Germans. Okay, and trying to go for the German Type 212s. The KSS3s, not only can we get them built, but we can also get them built in Canada because we can get the entire technological package, so which is great. So collaboration and security while delivering better value. We know defense platforms and technologies can depend on critical inputs from trusted allies. So if we can't build it ourselves, we will partner with capable nations to co-develop and co-produce the systems, which is good. I like this. Lastly, in other cases where circumstances might require it, Canada will also buy systems off the shelf from abroad, and that's what they need to do. In some cases, if they need it right away, like they're buying stuff, they buy the 26 high mobility artillery rocket systems from the U.S. that we're buying them, right? When we do, we will make sure it's under conditions that bolster our sovereign control while reinforcing rather than replacing our long-term domestic capability. So, yeah, these key actions are all in here with the build, partner, buy framework, which is interesting, which is good. The DIA is going to play a central role in pursuing Canada's new framework of the build, partner, and buy for defense. The Canadian companies actually make critical components for the F-35. So we're now going to get a second batch of them. We're now going to get up to about 30. So it is said that we're going to get the 30. It's good because our companies in Canada, they have $3 million worth of parts in each one of those, and if we cancel it outright, then people forget that Canadian firms are losing out too. So, so another aspect of this is build Canadian-made for critical defense capability. The DIA will prioritize Canadian suppliers and products. We will develop Canadian capabilities to build a resilient and innovative defense industrial capability, industrial base capable of designing and producing and sustaining advanced equipment by Canadian is not a slogan. It will be the guiding North Star. It's certainly the new way of doing, and it's not necessarily new. We've been building our own stuff for a long time with help from the United States and others, but okay. This is great. It just means that we have to be more flexible, and we've had to be. Build, partner, buy. We're partnering with Korea in developing this. So, and we're also building them with the HIMARS. We're buying them. If we get the Lynx armored fighting vehicles from the Germans, that we're buying them. More than likely. So capabilities, Canada's key sovereign capabilities, and I'm kind of skimming through some of it. So aerospace platforms, avionics, aircraft communications, like L3 communications and others. Ammunition, common ammunition, battle decisive munitions, small arms, missiles and bombs. Digital systems, secure cloud, artificial intelligence, quantum computing, and communications, integrated command, control, and communications, ICCC, and high assurance communications equipment, in-service support, naval, land, air, personal protection, medical countermeasures, which we develop here, sensors, marine sensors, quantum sensors, and electronic warfare systems, space-based intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance, space domain awareness, satellite communications, and space launch. Specialized manufacturing, land vehicles, surface ships, including icebreakers and marine systems. These are all systems that we are, key sovereign capabilities in Canada's defense, procurement and capabilities we build. Training and simulation, land, naval, and air. So naval, air, land, and air. And I've seen some of those, and the simulators are great. The new simulators in the last few years we've gotten Lockheed Martin and others, and developed in Canada, certainly for the Navy, Army and Air Force are great. Uncrewed and autonomous systems, uncrewed and autonomous land, aerial and underwater, and surface systems. We are, with the help of the Ukrainians and with the collaboration and in other ways in other countries, drones are really going in. Drones are the here and friggin' now. And drone swarms are part of it. Anti-drone systems. This is all part due to a rise in this due to the war in Ukraine. And drones are on the front lines. FPV drones and whatnot are even supplementing some artillery. They're not using artillery as much. Drones may cost, $700, where an artillery shell, a high explosive artillery shell, 155, might cost $800, right? So you can see why in some cases they're using these, if they're controllable. Another three aspect is by acquire from others with domestic reinvestment and sovereign control. So those systems increase defense platforms and incorporate very sophisticated technologies. They can be networked and dependent on advanced warfare, AI, and other frontier technologies. If Canada cannot build ourselves or in a strategic partnership with allies, we will consider direct acquisitions from foreign suppliers. Of course. Yep. So you'll look at here is the build, partner, and buy. And we are capable here. If people don't know, we are capable here. We are in Carleton County. We have fabrication plants. We have Craig's Manufacturing. We've done an awesome job in different things, such as our trucks and, like in 2021, the MSVS contracts. As well, we have Bernie's Welding Shop. So Bernie's Welding in Centerville, another great, and then of course, that is the other plant that builds fire trucks in Centerville. See, again, we have the capability here, a manufacturing capability, fabrication here. Oh my gosh, in Jacksonville, my friend Todd's Machine Shop, of course. And then, now we got the new housing plant that's going up. That's so we have jobs capabilities here for that too. Whether that trickles down, I hope so. But it's one of those things. I mean, then you've got Ironwood Homes. We've got different companies that can do this. We could actually have hundreds of more jobs here too. It's how this will go down. It's the big centers obviously first, but there's a lot of different things that we can see here. Pillar 3 is investing purposely to strengthen an innovative Canadian defense sector. Countries that take their national defense seriously also invest in the full ecosystem that underpins a resilient defense industry. R&D and innovation supports creation and protection of intellectual property, support of for a dynamic small and mid-sized business sector, SMB, the backing of exports, and development of a highly skilled workforce. All these elements will be key to Canada's defense industrial strategy. And so there is a massive, this is a massive amount of information on here. I'm not going to read it all, but this is somewhat what we're looking at as part of the upgrading our defense sector. And going through the pillar 4, securing supply chains for key inputs and goods. So the supply chains from companies and getting them here. And this is all about industry, defense industry. Pillar 5, working with key domestic partners, including in Canada's North and Arctic, which is like we just did with Denmark, a new pact with Denmark, because the Danes have Greenland. The Danes are an Arctic warfare country alongside Sweden, Norway, those countries, right? The Baltics, those countries are very much, in Finland, very much northern countries that are under threat, either by Russia or by, influence of that, right? And have been there. And now you have Sweden and Finland that are now part of NATO. So, which is, these are major contributions, right? They'll be collaborating with First Nations, Inuit, and Métis rights holders. Working with Northern and Arctic partners. This is all part of this. So, what do you see for Canada's future? I mean, I think that this is all great and promising. This would be great if even half of this would get up there. Would happen. It'd be great, but I mean, this is going to take time. This is going to be an effort to. This is going to be an effort where we're going to see the same problems. One of the same problems we're seeing is the continued bureaucracy after bureaucracy blanket that you have to go through, and those, and then you're having this other bureaucracy blanket that's supposed to speed up the bureaucracy, which is the DIA. So there's all kinds of different things that have to happen. So we'll continue to see and continue to watch this, but this is good. This is means that they're serious and that they need to be serious, because our military needs to be built up. This is a great step forward, I'm hoping. You reward good policy when you see good policy. And me being a conservative, I'm seeing good policy if it can work. The question is, although I am concerned about how quickly it will be implemented. Yeah. All right. Talk to everybody soon. Aaron Boma, military specialist for Carleton County, with military historian for Carleton County as well. Of course, same thing. Military, I've got the Carleton County Military Museum and then Bama Woodworks, and maybe watch out in Jackson.